Alright, we are back in the world. Well, we're about to be back in the world, loading back in. We are where we left off. So we just mined that little dune, and we were looking at some quests to submit. So I've chosen the power with this. You can see now we've got a bunch of quests here at the top. These are those repeatable quests that the game was talking about, that the hard route was talking about. Pretty much you trade power for various things. So here you can get emergency tools for power. You can get water. These things called ore berries, which grow ores or XP. Some food, cobblestone, just a bunch of empty batteries, full camel pack, clay, health, and another oxygen mask. But yeah, we're going to continue with the quests. So, the fluid transposer, we collected this real quick. I don't remember. Oh, we picked the ammo. So we're just going to do a couple other ones that are pretty easy. Clay, containment field, flux filter. Flux filter we just got to take off, detect it. It wants to get redstone now. Dust everywhere. Can submit some dust. Making our way over to some clay. Okay. Spent the rest of the dust. Wants us to go get bone dust. We've got a third of what we need. What else for the clay one? We need more dust, more batteries. This gives us the ingredients. There's a kind of a recurring thing with the quests where some of the quests will give rewards that other quests need. So what this quest wants us to get, or this quest gives. So in some cases, kind of like this, there's kind of an order of quests that you need to go in. Often you won't get stuff like this until much later down the line if you don't. Like if I didn't do this quest, I wouldn't be able to do this quest for probably a little while. Yeah, and then there's kind of another thing with the pick ones where it's a similar story. Sometimes you'll get something that's rather specific. Like this one. You'll get some things that are rather specific, and one of them might be useful for another quest, and then another one might not be. There's actually not really any there. Any here? No. What are you doing? Mining more dirt, more sand. I wish I had dirt. It's interesting that one quest says that you'll die without saplings, because you actually don't get any dirt to plant saplings on for a good little while. And then once you do, there's a lot of other mechanics that make it very hard to cultivate plants. I've only kind of started cultivating plants in this pack. I need a little bit more of this for something. Oh, that's another thing. I mentioned gravity. Blocks are also supported in the corners, or by blocks touching their edges. So if I were to break this one, the block to the left should fall at some point. I believe it is kind of random. I think. I don't know if that one provides support, or if it provides. I don't think it provides support diagonally like that. Oh yeah, so what I'm doing now is I just did this quest where it wants you to, the crew is telling you that there's a buried generator somewhere. It thinks it's over there, and then you go sit over there and it says, oh, actually, where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, and then it says, oh, true location. Actually, it's a little further away. So to do that other quest, we just had to walk over. To do this quest, we gotta, I think we also just have to get nearby. Yeah. Gotta be very careful with this digging part, because another thing in this pack is you'll get crushed by sand, by the dust. If anything falls on you, if anything, just any damage you take. Can I do this? I can, sweet. That's what that other wrench was for picking this up, but I'd rather just not. I'm just gonna leave that there. It's actually not super useful at the moment. So we've got that. That gives us a few different things. I never considered what that might be useful for. A couple things I did want to mention from the last video that I didn't cover, where it says cobble automation removed. Cobble is only from sifting sand and dust. This gives you like shards of cobblestone, and to actually get the cobblestone itself, you have to turn those into like a precursor, and then you gotta smelt it. And you may be wondering, well, how do I smelt cobblestone to get cobblestone if I don't have a furnace? And apparently there are a couple different ways. There's this quest. There's, once you get the basic power, there is this quest, the efficient furnace, or the electric furnace. Apparently there are a couple other ways that I have not discovered yet. Apparently there are a lot of Easter eggs and little kind of hidden interactions and stuff like that in this pack, which I quite appreciate, though I will say compared to their original Crash Landing, they are much more obscure in this pack, I would say. At least some of them. This should be on another quest. Submit the clay. Extra power, basic power. So dirty water bottle, it's another thing where we have to melt it and then we'll get clean water or smelt it. It's okay. This, so when I mentioned before that this is power, I never explained that it's a battery made out of a potato. Just funny. The dolly lets us move 2 blocks at a time with a second dolly, and then I'll just pick a reward bag. Well, gosh, the second dolly is actually quite good. Is there anywhere else we can get a reward bag? Yeah, okay, we'll get a reward bag there, so I don't need to kind of jeopardize anything. Alright, so we kind of want to do this one. We need batteries for that. This gives us the batteries we need, but we would rather either get the bone ore or the reward bag. I'm still not sure why there's a second sieve as an option. But what this task says is that because we can't make standard tools, you saw that wooden pickaxe had like no durability. That's every normal pickaxe. So we have to make specific tools using the mod Tinker's Construct. Bone is what they recommend. Unfortunately, making bone is difficult. So what we're going to end up doing is doing this residue scan to get some emergency tools. And then that'll give us a pickaxe, shovel. These are both made of bone. And then we'll just be repairing them constantly with bones that we typically get from either bone ore or this bone dust. You can see if we get 9 of it, we can make a single bone meal. Another thing. Okay, so 2 things that I wanted to mention from before. The reason why inventory management is so important. I mentioned before that it's something you really gotta focus on. Obviously, the beginning quests just give a ton of stuff. Like that very first quest, this is 7 items, or 8, depending on if you pick the camel packs. And there's another 6 and stuff like that. And then every time you mine sand, you get a chance of these little ore dusts that I mentioned. Combined with the fact you might want to carry power on you, might want to carry water on you, got to carry food on you. You probably want to carry your quest book. You end up just with like a lot of stuff. Another thing is that, so these ore dusts, these are another form of these little dust piles. So the tiny dust piles, it's not a good example. The tiny dust piles, you can combine 9 of those into 1 dust. Then you can, melt those down into the ingot. That is dust from the Industrial Craft mod. These dusts are from Ex Nihilo. And you get these from a different kind of dust that does not stack with these dusts. And even though this is effectively the same as, right, because this, you can melt it into 1 ingot. You can melt these dusts into 1 ingot. They're not the same. So you end up with a bunch of different types of dust, and you need a lot of storage for all that. We don't really need to worry about those at the moment, but that's just kind of a little example. Also, because again, just take up inventory, so we're dropping them off. Alright, so we want to finish the bone, or we did finish the bone quest. What uses bone meal? This uses 4 of it. We probably just want to get the bone ore. This gives us our sieve. This is how we turn dust into useful stuff. If you're wondering why I did that, food is a precious resource. Every jump costs. So I usually break those to place stuff, but actually is that okay. Chuck this here. So we can sift this bone ore. This will give us the bone meal and that bone dust. Also a very small chance of an actual bone. I believe it's 1%, so definitely not getting our hopes up on that. You can see we got some bone dust and bone meal. You can see our water slipping there in the bottom left, so we're going to switch our camel pack. We're going to take the old one and just kind of drop it somewhere. So here we got the new batteries, dust everywhere. So we'll complete this, we'll submit the rest of the dust. This wants us to craft bone meal, so it's another kind of quest. And because we just submitted dust, we're one short. So we're gonna mine for a second until we can get another one of those bone dusts. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh my god. Usually it gets a lot faster than this, I gotta say. Aha, okay. Get back, go here, we can craft our bone dust. I like to be careful not to stack things when I craft them, because that conflicts with some quests. Alright, now we get a couple reward bags. So, the reward bags... I'm gonna drop a couple things off. The reward bags will give random stuff. So this just gave us another reward bag. They call it an awesome reward, I don't know why. This gave us 7 wooden hammers. Real great stuff. So what I use the hammers for is I usually just toss them at the generator. Between the last episode and this one, I did realize what you're supposed to use the hammers for. So that bone ore, instead of having to go back to your sieve all the time to turn the bone ore into dust and bone meal, you can use a hammer to break it, and it's just slightly less efficient. And then we got another potato capacitor, which is great. Alright. Clay we don't really need. This is going to be the start of storing things in this crafting station. As I said, inventory management is brutal. Also, these drying racks, they only store 1 item at a time. So, like, I can't store a whole stack. So the stacks I'm going to be putting in just random places. Alright, so we can submit this now. You'll see we need to throw in a full RE battery. You'll see that these are not full. They're measured, their power is measured in EU, but you'll see this one is measured in RF. EU, I think that's energy units. RF is redstone flux. In this pack they're the same, in most packs they're not. Here if we go to the back box and we just drop those in the top, they'll fill up the rest of the way. If your back box is empty, you can drop one of the batteries in the bottom and the other in the top, and it'll fill out the top one while draining the bottom one. But because we saved so much power, we've got a bunch to spare. For this, the frying pan's funny. It hits mobs really far away and slows them, but unfortunately not really. I don't really like to get into melee. You can also use it to cook some stuff, but I haven't found a recipe that works, and also it's really inefficient if you're not cooking like a whole bunch of stuff. The other option is a couple things of energy. I don't know, the medic just does a bunch of damage, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, you can't claim quests unless you have the inventory space. The medic does a bunch of damage, and I'm planning on moving the crafting stations quite a lot, just like taking one with me all the time. Alright, so we'll do this for now. Actually, we're going to leave this at home. We definitely do not want to be losing that. Dollies we will need in a second, because we're going to be going somewhere. Extra hammer we don't need. No extra batteries. Okay. Yeah, so our shovel deals 3, pickaxe deals 2, Matic does 4, and also it's the only thing that lets us break this quickly. Okay. We've still only got the one battery? Do we really only get one battery from all these quests? Here we go. Alright, so this quest is sieving the dust. This is pretty much just telling you to compress dust, and it makes sieving a lot faster. And the way you do that is I have just dropped my crafting station. Put that over here for now. The way you do that is you just put 9 dust in the grid like that. We really have no use to keep a ton of regular dust around. So that gives us this crafting task, and then... oh, next quest is the other thing. To look at these rewards, we can take a look around this one, because we know this one needs redstone, but it only gives us a little capacitor, so we don't really need that. It is pretty great to take this redstone here, but unfortunately we know we need those extra batteries, and we know that no other quest is going to give them, except for the quest that takes batteries. Yeah. So we're going to take the batteries. That gives us a double compressed. That is 9 compressed, so it's 81 total dust. This is one of those recipes where when you make it, you get an uncooked variant, and then you have to smelt that into the final item. This is a huge gatekeeping thing because it just makes the pack harder. It means you need to somehow cook things. Again, we don't have a furnace very easily. And the efficient furnace that we get, that's an electric furnace, it takes power. And it takes a fair amount. So it's kind of rough. What we're gonna do is we can do those quests in a second. A quest I want to get ASAP is Power of the Sun. This gets us a solar panel. You need 2 batteries for this, but you get approximately 2 to 3 power per day, 2 to 3k power per day. So it takes between 4 and 5 days to pay off. So the sooner you get it, the better. I do last until those days, so I will grab it. These single-use batteries, what they're used for is they're worth about 1200 of this EU power. So once this is full, I'll take one of these, I'll drop it in. We're at 2050. Now we're at 21700. Yeah, so now with those, and this gives us some of this stuff. Coal dust isn't so bad. Redstone's very annoying to get, so we're going to submit. It wants us to get a cable. We can do that. Oops. No, I should drop that there. We can do that by looking around and doing some theft. So over here, just gonna grab that, and that will get us that second cable that I want. And then we're gonna pick the redstone, and we're gonna drop some stuff in the inventory so we can collect everything. And we're going to set this up as soon as possible. Wait. Aha. Boom. Now that'll start producing power. We'll put in a battery. It's pretty slow, but it is power nonetheless. Extra wires we can just drop. Extra torch. So the torches you get from the drying racks. All these have torches on them. Torches constantly burn, and they have as you can see, a limited durability. But while they're on the drying rack, they do not burn. So we use that. We got an extra flux capacitor, so we'll just throw that somewhere. Throw that into our helmet, so we don't run out of oxygen. Sort the inventory, leave the battery. Compressed dust we will keep on us because this is better than dust for like building. Ideally we'd like to sieve it, but you know, you're gonna need building materials at some point. And then to finish up this flux filter quest, we just needed a potato. We got the potato. And we'll use it the same way. Looking forwards, there's a few other quests we can complete. It's getting kind of late though, so we want to move. You can see we've unlocked 2 other sections of the quest book. I see it is approaching 30 minutes. Also, another reason I'm only doing 30-minute segments is because I heard that the software I'm using cuts out after 30 minutes. I'm just using like the Xbox game bar, which is just the default, or is just inbuilt into Microsoft. Yeah, so what we're going to be looking at, there's got the very basics. It talks about power is sulking, will behave if flattered with tidy wiring. Replicator accepts offerings in measured doses. Do not shout at it. These are, of course, you know, the crew going crazy. What we're really interested in is this possible soil location. So obviously we have no dirt, and we want to get some. So there's an old farm location. And we're hoping to find some dirt there. You can see now it has appeared on the in the game as a waypoint. Again, I guess before we head out, we want to make a little base waypoint. We'll make that dark so that we can see it pretty easily. Okay, but since it's about 30 minutes, we will pick that up on another video. Alright, see ya.